Hey, good morning YouTube. This is Kurt the Welder dude. I'm going to do a little review. It's on a small welder that I bought beginning of the summer probably this year. Times got a little rough job wise, and I had to get rid of my big welder, and my engine drive went in the shop, and so I started looking for something that I could use around the shop just to play with. And I was fishing around on Amazon and I came across the AHP Alpha TIG 160 ST. It's a lunchbox size welder. Shipped to my door was $205 on Amazon. The machine had never been used. I didn't do an unboxing at the time. I didn't really care. I just wanted something to stick some metal with out in the garage, and you know, it seemed to be, had excellent reviews. I was impressed with the reviews on this machine, and I'm sure that if you're watching this, you're familiar with one of my mentors, Chucky 2009, just one of several, Jody, weldingtips.com, weldmonger.com, and several others that I've come to know over the years, but those are a couple of them that kind of stood out. Kevin Cron, can't forget him. Mr. Tig, there's a handful of them that I really enjoyed. So anyway, Chuck did a few of them, reviews on the same machine, and he was pretty impressed with it. So it was kind of in a roundabout way, it helped me make a decision on a small, inexpensive, dirt cheap machine that seemed to fit the bill, quality wise, workmanship, the fit and finish, and ultimately the thing can weld not just in stick MMA. It's also a lift start TIG machine, although it does not have a gas port. When you get a TIG rig put together, you just basically simply plug it in to the machine, and you run your gas line out to your bottle, and it's controlled at the stinger with your hands, you know, a little knob, and you can TIG with it. I don't have the TIG set up. I will probably at some point, but for right now, no. I just stick weld with it, and like I said, I've used it for several months, and I absolutely love this little machine. It will never leave here until it breaks down and dies. Plain and simple. I can stick it in a small carry-on bag. Thing weighs 13 pounds. You can throw it in the back seat of your welding rig or up inside your job box in the bed of the truck, and it's there when you need it. It's dual voltage, 110 and 220. So it's the best of everything, and give you a little look at what I'm talking about. Now, keep in mind, this thing is filthy because it's been in my shop. I've been using it, and I swear by this little dude. Here it is. This is the Alpha 160 ST by AHP. It's a very, very small machine. It will do lift start TIG. It has a smaller DINS 25 connectors, which, you know, that's fine. It doesn't hurt a thing. They're readily available. You can make extension cords with them. Whatever you gotta do. An excellent, excellent machine. Now, I was just on Amazon today, and they've got the 2016s on there for $299, and I cannot tell you what I think the difference is going to be between that machine and this one. I would honestly have to say that it's going to be very minuscule, whatever it is. The only issue I had really is I'm not an all-out fan of the Stinger. I had some problems with it, the little grooves, not wanting to hold the rod, but I took a file and cleaned them out, and it seems to be doing okay. But honestly, Rural King and 15 bucks, you can get your Tweco style, and you'll have a real good Stinger for next to nothing. The ground clamp has done me well until I stepped on it a few times and I bent it. But other than that, it's still a pretty solid ground clamp. It's got the grounding strap on the inside, no complaint. I'm going to run some beads with it. I'm going to use it on the 120 and the 210, the 120 and the 220. Kind of give you an idea what you're looking at. So stand by. Now, I've got this plugged into the included little pigtail little 110 adapter that comes with it. You just simply plug in the 220 lead that comes off the machine itself into the adapter that comes with it, and it goes to the 110. It automatically switches to 110 on its own. However, when you go to 110 with this machine, the on and off switch is on the back. It boots up. In the 110 mode, you can only go to 120 amps. I'll turn this up a little bit so you can see. And it's just finger touch. This thing is so smooth. But maxed out on 110, you get 120 amps. And depending on what kind of wiring system you have in your garage, I've never blown a tripped a breaker with mine, but I'm running on a 20 amp circuit out here in my garage. I wired it myself, so it's pretty solid. Yours might be a little different. You might trip them, but I've never had that as an issue. Okay. Now, if you plugged into 220, you should be able to get the full 160 amps, and with little issue whatsoever. All right. And what I'm going to use on the 110, I've got an array here. I've got some 3/32 6013s. I've got some 1/8 inch 6013. I'm going to bump it up to the 220, and we'll run some 6011 because, you know, like any other inverter based machine, the little ones especially, they don't like the 6010. But you know what? With these small inverter machines, mine will run the 6011 like it's just you know, butter. And then we got some 1/8 inch 7018, which we'll run those here in a little bit. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to run a few stringers with it. Keep in mind, I'm not the greatest welder in the world, but I do enjoy it, so stand by. You know, the old flat disc is okay, but I prefer to throw on some sparks. So let's throw some sparks. What do you say? We'll get out the old quarter cable and get her done. And let's throw some sparks. Okay, we're going to start off with the some 3/32 6013 on some pretty thin material. I've got it ground down a little bit, and we're just going to see what I'm going to do. Again, this is the Alpha AHP 160 ST. And it's a little crooked, so we'll see what we got. You can go ahead and come out of there. This will be the 6013. I'm running on a 75 amps on 110. Again, it's not very straight, but it is what it is. But that looks like a fairly decent little weld. And we'll lay another line right across the top of that one and see how it goes, so stand by. And we'll let that cool for just a second. This is some pretty lightweight material. I would say it's just perfect for that small rod, the 6013 and a 3/32, 75 amp. Get this off here. And there it is. Put a brush on it. $6013, 110 amp. There it is. We just ran the 6013 3/32 rod. Ran a couple of beads with that, just a couple stringers. It doesn't do bad. I'm not a professional welder by any means. I would never proclaim that. I do enjoy it. I'm going to bump it up a notch now. We're going to use the 6013, but it's going to be in the 1/8 inch rod, also on 110 volt. I'll bump the voltage up on, or the amps up on the machine a little bit, so we can kind of get an idea of what it's capable of doing. I've yet to trip a breaker ever with this thing. Today might be the first time, but we'll see. And it's, again, it's going to be on some thin material, 6013 1/8 inch rod, using the AHP Alpha 160 ST. It's in 110 volt, and we'll run the amps up. Oh, let's try for about 95. We'll see what that does. If that's sticky, then we'll bump it up a little bit more. And we'll see where we're at. So stand by. And just in case you weren't real clear on what was happening here, the camera girl is none other than my smoking hot wife, who does not like cameras. She's a tad camera shy. So there it is. Okay. There's a first time for everything. That is on 110 on a 20 amp breaker. I run 110 amps on the machine because it was sticking quite a bit. Thin material, 6013 1/8 inch rod, and it tripped my breaker. So I got to restart this thing. We'll turn the amps down a little bit and see if we can keep it from sticking and try again. Okay, what I'm figuring out, it did not trip my breaker. What it did was it tripped the internal breaker on this little light strip that I've got here. So apparently it says it's probably a 15 amp, and I didn't realize that. So I'm going to reconnect everything and come right off of my breaker rather than coming off of here, and see if it does the same thing. Okay, I have rerouted the cords a little bit. I've now gone off my wall through an extension cord to the machine on 110 volt. I've got the machine currently set at 110 amp using the 6013 1/8 inch rod on some thin material. So let's see how we do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You are. Okay. Camera girl says she's still recording, so okay. On the 110, it instantly burnt through this thin material. So I had to back it back down to 95 amps on the machine, 110 volt off the wall. Did not trip the breaker this time around. Dropped it to the 95, and that's the bead we just laid. And we'll kind of clean this up a little bit. 6013, 1/8 inch. Very thin material. It's still a little hot. I had to go a little quicker because I should have cooked through it. Don't look at that. That's ugly. Okay, we'll clean this off a little bit. And there it is. That's on 110 volt. About 95 amps. On the AHP Alpha 160 ST. The rod was 1/8 inch, 6013. We're going to move up another notch. I'm going to go to some 1/8 inch 6011, because we all know that the small inverters are pretty terrible about running the 10s, the 6010. So if you've got something greasy, dirty, you got paint on it, etc., etc., it doesn't have to be perfectly clean, you got mill scale, these are the answer. They'll eat right through that shit, no issues whatsoever. So hold on. Alright, I'm going to run with the 6011 1/8 inch rod. I've went ahead and gone back to the 220. We'll get it fired up. And I'm going to set this for about 115 amp. I have noticed that this little machine, it cooks pretty warm. I mean, it's solid. That little dial's touchy. So, this is being 6011, I've got some, looks like 1/4 inch or maybe 3/16 plate. It's filthy, it's got grease on it, it's got paint on it, it's got dust. Just a bunch of crud. I'm going to use the 6011 at 115 amps on 220, and we're going to see if it'll cut through this and leave us a bead. And we'll flip to the clean side and we'll run a bead on the clean side so you can kind of see the two differences. That's where we're at for this point. Alright, stand by. Okay, that's about a 3-inch bead. It's starting to burn through. That 3/16 plate on 110 amp 220, that's still pretty hot. Okay, so let's see, it's cooled for a few seconds. Let's see what we got here. second. Just put some eyeballs on, because the slag on the 6011 is pretty tough stuff. It's a pretty crappy weld, but the point is being made, the machine can do it. Come up here. And this being some really filthy material, it did cut through it after I pecked it a few times, and it did start to lay a bead. Unfortunately, my sexy camera lady was getting a little too warm. She had to back off a little bit and stop the video, but at the same time I was burning through the metal, so I was going a little too slow. And there it is. Okay, going back to the 6011, 1/8 inch rod, 220 volts coming off the wall, and I'm still sitting at about 115 amp. I think I'm going to back them down to about 110. Okay, we're sitting at 110 amp. This is nice clean plate, looks like to be about 3/16 plate, so we're even closer to a 1/4 inch. So here we go. That is the 6011. I'm going to go ahead and put another rod in. We'll come back and pick up where we left off. Right back into the puddle. And here we go. Okay, that was a 6011. Had to do a restart because I had run out of rod. Started back in the puddle where I left off. Let that cool just a little bit, and this is on some clean material. Let's see where we're at. Come in a little bit. Come over. Mounted pretty well, but it is a 6011. It kind of gives you an idea of what the machine is capable of doing. In the hands of a competent welder, I think it'd do just fine. Okay, we just ran a couple of beads with the 6011. In my opinion, it did fine. If there was an issue with the welder, it wasn't. If it's me, it's not the machine. Now I'm going to run a bead or two with some 7018. I'm not going to change my amperage. I'm going to leave it there set at 110. Because it seems to me that this little machine puts out plenty of amperage, and I think at 110 it'll smoke this rod. So this is 1/8 inch, 7018, and hold the phone. I keep saying this might be 3/16 plate, but I'm not sure, so we're going to find out. That's exactly what we actually do have here. Alright, this is 1/4 inch plate. 7018, 110 amps, 220 volts, 1/8 inch rod. Let's see what we get. Okay. My eyes on here real quick. I know I should be wearing these under these things, but I sweat in these things. They just fog up. It's hard to see. Let's see what we get with that. This is 7018 Munker. And that's the 7018. Let's run another bead beside that. Got a slag ball. Let's knock that off here. I think we got that done. (7018) 220 volts, 110 amps on the AHP Alpha 160 ST. Don't mind the weld, it's about the welder. And there it is. That's just a little review on a machine that I bought several months ago, and I didn't get a chance to do any kind of an unboxing. Hard times meant you do desperate things sometimes, and I lost my bigger machines. I needed something to get back in the groove out here in the garage with. So I went to the low end of the scale after doing numerous reviews of the machine. I really liked what I saw. I value some of the other welders that are in the YouTube community, even though some of them are somewhat commercialized. That's I still value a lot of their input. These guys have been around, so I didn't have any reason to doubt what they had to say about this specific machine. Personally, I love this thing. I would recommend it in a heartbeat. I've done some work on a trailer, replaced a coupler. I've built a few things around the house. I don't think you can go wrong if you're budget minded like I am. Right now I think the 2016 model of this machine on Amazon is $299 plus the shipping, I would imagine. I give a little under $200 plus the shipping to my door was $205. I'm very pleased. What else can I say? YouTube, if you guys like what I do, by all means, like, comment, subscribe. If you got some comments you want to add, I always look forward to things of this nature. I love doing what I do. I'm not real good at it, but I enjoy it. That being said, the best of everything to everybody in the viewing audience. Peace.